with the server issues we've been having lately, actually, that's not really true. We had server issues a while ago, but for now, things have been pretty dang good. Uh, we're going to have a blog. We're going to have a post-mortem talking about it, but it's not out yet. What's going on? What's up? What happened?
Okay, so a lot of the problems that we were having had to do with our presence system. Presence is our system for keeping track of where you are in virtual reality. It fuels friend lists and a lot of other underlying systems in the back end. In our early days, we would run presence out of a single Redis node. A single Redis node. For a really long time, most of VRChat's backend was actually running out of a few really beefy Redis nodes. Redis is an absolute beast of a database when it comes to fast ephemeral data, stuff like presence, and that was good for quite a while until it wasn't. Until we hit like 10 to 15,000 users. And that was around, when I say users, I mean concurrent users, not just 10 to 15,000 people overall, but like 10 to 15,000 people at once. And at that point, having everything running off of one Redis server started to really hit a breaking point. So around that time, we moved from Redis to Redis cluster, which is a way to distribute Redis across a lot of different servers. And that worked to scale a lot of our different systems. But the way that we'd written presence specifically did not take advantage of all the extra nodes in the cluster. So it took everything that wasn't presence and spread it out, and then presence just squatted on a single server using up all of the server resources, which was a little unfortunate. So with the stack the way that it was, we'd need to do a full rewrite of presence to work well in the Redis cluster environment. And so one of our engineers had a clever idea to buy us some time before we rewrite the entire presence system in that environment, which was to move temporarily to Mongo. It wasn't necessarily a permanent solution, but it allowed us to scale up our reads across multiple Mongo servers. We also had access to secondary indexes, which allowed us to handle some of our data a lot more efficiently. And it bought us a lot of time to work on a cluster-ready Redis solution, which let us scale up an extra 15,000 concurrent users, which was a lot. We thought that would give us so much headroom. And it got us up to 35,000 CCU. But presence isn't necessarily something we want to keep permanently in MongoDB. So when we started to approach 40,000 users, the amount of reads and writes associated with just people logging in, people logging out, people changing rooms, it's a lot of reads and writes. And the Mongo system started to fall apart. We started seeing huge replication lag. We started seeing the servers just couldn't keep up with all the writes we were trying to do. And it wasn't just the presence system that was failing. It was taking down other systems that we need to keep up in order to keep VRChat running, like authentication. Right. And so, what we needed to do was finally re-engineer our presence to work with Redis, this time with a Redis cluster appropriate architecture, one that would scale across all the servers in the cluster.
During this time, this is when we had to turn off particular features to make sure we didn't fall over and explode and die, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we had to do. In order, the first weekend it started happening, we just had downtime. We just had some periods of time where the API was totally unavailable. You couldn't log into VRChat. If you were in a room, you could stay in that room, but you couldn't move between rooms or log into VRChat, which was a pretty bad state for our backend to be in. And so we whipped up a really quick solution that allowed us to just disable the presence system and leave everything else up and running, which it wasn't pleasant necessarily. Like, it's not the best state for VRChat to be in, but at least you can still, log in, and if you can find your friends, hang out with them.
Yeah.
So when we finally had, before we built the Redis cluster appropriate architecture, we needed to get VRChat Plus going. And a big part of that is that we needed people to build the new system. We needed money to run the new servers. And all of that, when we got VRChat Plus going, it was the kick in the pants we needed to be able to get that feature out the door and those new servers online. So thank you, everyone. You made that scaling possible. VRChat Plus is a big part of the reason that it was something we could do at all. So yeah, thumbs up. Awesome. So while we were building out the new system, we we got it running on the Redis cluster, and we launched that a few weeks ago. And we're still working on some of the fine-grained details of that launch, but it's working pretty well. We released it in a hurry, but it's up and running, and it is much, much faster than it was before. We got to turn off all of our mitigation strategies. We've been growing every weekend, and the servers are humming. There's barely a flex in our graphs and charts, which is glorious. I was putting in, while we were working on the problem, I was working every weekend, 10-hour days every day. It was a lot of work. And when I got my weekends back, it was a real, I almost cried that first weekend that I got to not be at work.
Yeah.
We're showing the new team right now on the stream.
There's the API team in the canonical server room. There you go. That is it. But
that's our actual server room. All of our servers are in VRChat. It's part of the complexity of our backend.
Yeah, makes things a little bit complicated. I remember that weekend in specific because it was actually it was the API team, it was the community team, it was a bunch of different teams that were having to stay on call for the entire weekend because stuff would go down and then would come back up. And then finally we turned it on, and like you said, it was like a switch just flipped because it was just flipped, and it did just fix it. And it is a little wiggly, like you said, but it was a relief. I could finally go and just hang out for a weekend.
And some of the bugs that are high priority bugs in our stack right now, things that we're looking to try to fix over the next few weeks, are bugs that have to do with the launch of the new presence system. Like what's the deal with your friend presence right now? Sometimes someone might appear to be offline when they're not actually offline, or sometimes someone might appear to be in a room that they're not actually in because the data has lagged behind where it should be. The new system is very fast, but it's also a brand new system that completely replaces a pretty core system in our backend. So we've been frantically patching as we go.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes when you got a live system like that. There is one other thing I wanted to mention, because I think it's really important, especially for communication. The VRChat status page used to be basically logging into our Discord and seeing if I've been yelling in the announcements channel. But now we have this wonderful thing called status.vrchat.com. We can see this beautiful graphic with the very cute VRCat. What's up with that? What's going on there?
Well, it was actually a little side project. One of our engineers thought it would be a good idea. One of our new engineers thought it would be a good idea to share the status of VRChat's backend with people, which,
wild idea.
I know, crazy. I don't know why we'd want to do that. But they found an open source package that is essentially like a nice, tidy little self-contained status page, and said, I can do this really quickly. Let me put up a status page. And we were like, okay, that sounds great. And then it was great. It's a great little status page. It's at status.vrchat.com, and you can check that. And if it says that something very bad is happening, then know that I'm suffering personally.
Yeah, it is actually just a suffering meter for a system. If it's yellow or, heaven forbid, red, you're just sitting in the corner, just screaming incessantly.
Crying and drinking.
Yeah. Hopefully neither of those, or none of those things. If it is something other than VRChat is operational, then, we're figuring stuff out. But anyways, I think that's about it, unless there's anything else you'd like to tell chat.
No, I think that went good. I'm going to try to crab walk out of here before anybody notices how high and weird my voice is.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with the...
I haven't figured out how to crab walk in VRChat yet, but I'll get there. Sort of wave my arms while I walk off.
That's a very strange crab.
I'm bad at crabbing.